Hello there, friends. It's Jimmy Maverick. Welcome to another edition of the Fantasy Maverick podcast. Today, we're going to talk about the Week 11 waiver wire pickups. My motto is never stop improving your teams. I got the names for you for who to pick up this week. Definitely want to check it out. Here we go.
Listen up. It's time for the Fantasy Maverick podcast, starring the guy who's going to help you win that fantasy championship, Jimmy Maverick.
Hello there, friends. Welcome once again to the Fantasy Maverick podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. And today we are going to talk about the Week 11 waiver wires. But hey, before I begin, if you could please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share this with your friends, and of course, subscribe. All those things help me out with that YouTube algorithm, and I do very much appreciate it. We are in the doldrums of the season right now. A lot of extremely disappointing performances by teams that are better than that. Like I just got done watching the Monday Night Football game. 10 points for the LA Rams. Really, that's all they end up getting? 0 from Seattle. I mean, there's just so many disappointing teams this week. And it seems like it was a very low-scoring week across the board. Looking at like all my various leagues that I'm in, not just some of my teams which did very poorly this week, but it seems like everybody was just kind of like way down below where they were supposed to be, except for maybe one or two teams. So we got to figure this out. Hopefully these teams are going to snap out of this very soon. And in the meantime, what waiver wires can we talk about? So let's just get right into it. Let's just start with the quarterbacks. My quarterback streamers for this week, the pickups. First one, Mac Jones, currently 28% rostered. And I got to say, man, I think Mac Jones is the best rookie quarterback in the league this year. Now, he's been great for regular football, not so great for fantasy football. That is until this past week when he finally got a fantasy-worthy performance with 198 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and 14 rushing yards, giving him over 20 points. That's always my threshold for a quarterback streamer. So that's great. Congratulations to Mac Jones for finally exceeding that threshold. And what do they got next week? Next week, they get Atlanta. So, yes, I really like that. We just watched Atlanta lose by 45 points. So there you go. So it's a great matchup. And the biggest risk with Mac Jones, obviously, man, the Patriots, they can run that ball. Man, they are just colossally dominant on the ground, regardless of who's in that backfield, apparently. And so he's got a very low ceiling. I just feel he is a low floor, low ceiling player. He doesn't run the ball a lot. He just basically manages the offense. That's fine in certain situations. This should be a good situation for him. The biggest risk would be that they just go to run, just a positive game script, run the ball, don't even pass the ball in the second half. That's certainly a risk, and that's why, he's an okay choice. Now, my next guy that I say to stream actually has a much better floor than Mac Jones, although I think both of them probably have a pretty low ceiling overall. I think 20 to 22 points is probably both of theirs where they're going to max out. But how about Cam Newton going home? Carolina Panthers. He proceeds to score 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown and 1 passing touchdown. And, of course, it's those rushing touchdowns, man. He's got CMC. CMC can get the yards to get them down to the goal line, and he will just vulture that touchdown right away from CMC. So, again, a very safe floor. He is, obviously his pass game sucks. He's not good at throwing the ball. This is not good for DJ Moore. But anyway, I think next week he gets Washington. So, again, a very easy defense to operate against, despite of the fact that they beat the Buccaneers this week. That's another one. Tampa Bay, 19 points. What? How is that possible? Anyway, Washington is a very easy defense, despite what they did to Tampa Bay. I believe it is at home as well, so this should be a good game for Cam Newton as well. So both those guys, I think, are good waiver wire pickups. Now, running backs. I don't have a ton of running backs this week, just a couple here that I want to talk about. First one, of course, Ramondre Stevenson, currently 32% rostered. He was a preseason favorite of mine. I drafted him in a ton of leagues, and then summarily dropped him in the first month of the year. But here, it finally takes till week 10 for him to put together a fantasy-worthy performance. And, of course, an injury to Damian Harris to finally show what he could do. He ended up getting 20 touches, 7 targets. Harris is in concussion protocol, and Patriots are playing on a Thursday night game this week, so it's a short week. I do not anticipate Harris to be back, so that means Ramondre Stevenson will start again. He will absolutely be a startable asset on Thursday, so go ahead and do that. And, again, they are at Atlanta for Thursday night, so it should be very good. Also, another name who was great last year in relief of another running back, Saquon Barkley, and another guy who I actually picked up in a number of leagues during the draft because I thought he was going to be the primary backup to Mike Davis. Of course, none of that happened. None of that turned out the way I thought it would with Cordarrelle Patterson and whatever. But now that Cordarrelle Patterson is out with an MCL, Wayne Gallman came in, got 15 touches and 2 targets. Hey, that's over my threshold of 15 touches and targets for a running back. So that's good enough to start. Obviously, the prospects of the Atlanta offense are extremely minimal right now. That entire offense is just completely cratering. So I don't know if I could start Wayne Gallman, especially with a short week against the Patriots. I'm not really liking that either, but I think he's worth a pickup because Cordarrelle appears he's going to be missing at least a few weeks. Let's move on to wide receivers. And I am absolutely shocked that Rashad Bateman is still only at 50% rostered in Yahoo leagues. That's crazy. I've been talking about this guy for the past couple of weeks, how you got to get him, and he's going to be great for fantasy. Once again, he goes out, gets another 8 targets this week. That's 2 weeks in a row where he's gotten 8 targets, and he's very special for fantasy. Very efficient with his touches so far. What did he get? 6 catches for 80 yards this past week. That's fantastic. And that was better than Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown had 6 catches also, but only got 37 yards. So Bateman is a great special talent. They are at Chicago next. Again, it's kind of a tough matchup, but I would be okay starting this guy as a flex. Absolutely. With that sort of volume, you're pretty much good for a flex value play. So go ahead and get Rashad Bateman. He would be, of all these guys, he's probably my number 1 pick because not only is he's good not just this week, like Ramondre Stevenson is a great pickup too, but Ramondre Stevenson is probably only good for this week. Rashad Bateman is good for the rest of the season. So go get him, make him your top waiver priority. Here's another one, man, another guy, and I got to talk about that. You see this all the time when there's a backup quarterback that has to come in and run an offense during a game because the main quarterback gets injured, and who does he go and target but somebody that you don't know real well, and that's what happened this past week with Ray McLeod, who's currently 0% rostered. And he had received so far total this season 10 targets, but on week 10 he got 12. So this is again an unusual situation. Mason Rudolph came in because Ben Roethlisberger is tested positive for COVID. Apparently is symptomatic, so that's an issue that I think he's going to be missing more time. And Mason Rudolph hasn't tossed a lot of balls to Deontay Johnson or Najee Harris. However, he has tossed a lot of balls to someone like Ray McLeod, who would play with him on the twos when they were scrimmaging. So he has a level of trust with that receiver, and therefore he is utilizing that receiver more than you would expect. And so as long as Ben Roethlisberger is out, Mason Rudolph is the quarterback, I think Ray McLeod is going to continue to receive a large volume of targets in the offense. So anyway, what do they got? They are playing against the Chargers in Week 11. So for me, he's a super risky flex, but I think he would be worth, if you're desperate, if you really need a wide receiver for that flex position for Week 11. I think he's an all right choice. I think it could work out well. But if Roethlisberger does happen to start, I would not play him. So anyway, that's where I'm at with him. Let's move on to the tight ends. So I got a couple of names here. First one, Pat Freiermuth. currently 60% rostered. So again, 4 in 10 chance he'd be available in your league. And don't be discouraged by that game-losing fumble he had at the end of the last game. Well, I guess they didn't lose the game; they tied the game, but he fumbled away, the game-winning possession, basically. But for 4 consecutive weeks, he's gotten at least 6 targets. And that's, for me, that's good enough to start. If you're running with a tight end, if I can get a guy that can get me 6 targets in the tight end position, I'll take it. I will take it and I will start it. The other guy is Dan Arnold, Jacksonville Jaguars, who is only 26% rostered, but has somehow, some way become the number 1 target in Jacksonville, which is just, I hate Urban Meyer. I just hate what he's doing with this team. I hate what he's doing with Marvin Jones and Laviska Shenault. It's a freaking waste. But anyway, Dan Arnold is the clear beneficiary. And he got 7 targets in week 10. That's 3 consecutive weeks over 7 targets. That's just about as safe a tight end choice as you can hope for fantasy football. And he's been productive. He's been very productive so far. So again, Dan Arnold, absolutely worth a pickup if you're in need of a tight end. So finally, let's talk about defensive streamers. I got 3 of them to pick up this week. If you're looking for one, first one, Tennessee, currently 61% rostered. So again, good chance that they might be on your waiver wire. And who they get in week 11? They get Houston at home. Oh yes, that is a great play. The Tennessee defense has been really good this year. And again, they went through that whole gauntlet of those super difficult teams, came out pretty good for fantasy. They did really good. And this is just like icing on the cake, man. I think they're going to be very good this week. Hopefully they won't look past it and blow it, which just seems to be happening a lot with fantasy football this year. Also, I like Carolina for week 11. They get to face, we already talked about this, they're facing Washington, who did score very well against Tampa Bay. But I think that the defense for Carolina is actually a lot more solid overall. I mean, Tampa Bay can stop the run, but they're not good against the pass, whereas Carolina is generally pretty good against both the pass and the run. So I think and it's a home game, so I think it's a good option for a streamer. Finally, I also like the Los Angeles Chargers, who get to face the Steelers. We got Roethlisberger possibly out. You got Mason Rudolph. Last week they were only able to score 16 points against Detroit. Yeah, okay. I think the Chargers can be very effective. I think they can generate some turnovers, and I think they can generate some sacks. That's what you want with your fantasy defense. So I like it. It's a home game for them as well. So there you go. So that is my list of waiver wire options for this week. Not quite as extensive on the running backs and wide receivers. There's not a ton of options, and there's a lot of guys that just came out this week and had a huge week, like Ray McLeod. Makes it hard for me to trust that player going forward if they've been getting, 3 targets, 2 targets, 1 target, and then 10 targets. I'm not even going to bother picking that guy up. I'm not gonna chase that big week. I'm gonna wait and see can they do it again. That's the most important thing. So anyway, that's where I'm at. Week 11, closing in on the end of the season with my high stakes leagues. It's only a 12-week regular season. Hoping to get into some fantasy playoffs there. It is tough. Again, I have one team do very well, and that's the team that I need to score a lot of points. They did score a significant amount of points today. I think about 160 points. That's fantastic. But my other team, which was in playoff position in the fourth position, had a crummy week, so they're going to drop and probably going to drop to 5th or 6th place, which means I need to win out my last 2 games in order to get into the playoffs for this team. Because I love this team and I really want to see them go to the next level. Tyreek Hill, Najee Harris, TJ Hawkinson, totally goose egg. What the heck happened with TJ Hawkinson this week? Oh, man. So tough, but better times are ahead. I had a good week last week, so, we can just get right back on that horse next week. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you sticking it out. Please, again, like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I will talk to you soon with the Week 11 matchups. I'll be doing that on Wednesday. Have a good day, everybody.